Hi guys, this is Lachette, and this is my August reading wrap-up video where I talk about the books I read in the last half of the month of August and my August reading stats. Alright guys, so first off, before we get into things, some announcements. To no one's surprise, though prayers and positive energy to his family, another black man has been shot by the police here in the United States. He is alive, but will be paralyzed for the rest of his life. He was also shot in front of his children. So, there's links in the description, as always, for helping support the Black Lives Matter movement, as well as supporting the protesters and other things. I will go into more detail in a second. That link has not gone anywhere. It's just, I have had the luxury, the privilege of forgetting to mention it in my videos for a little while. Let's not do that anymore. This is not going anywhere. This is not going anywhere, and it's upsetting, to say the least. Changing direction and focus here, I would like to talk about the format of this video. I mentioned it in my last video and wound up not having to do so, but this video may seem choppy because I will have on different outfits. Why? Because I filmed my wrap up of each book or of several books at different times or on different days, and I think I'm going to go with that. I don't want to upload more videos, like I said in the last, my last reading wrap up, my last recent reads, but some stuff I need to film at a different time than others. So that's what's gonna happen here. My stats, which will start right after this, will be in a different outfit. I leave those to the very beginning of the next month, which will be like September 1st or 2nd. I will say though, my last announcement is my usual spiel during the summertime. It is summer. It's not too hot today, so my fan is not on. However, my window is open. I live in New York City on the first floor. So you might hear, well, some wind today. It's not super windy, but windy. You will hear passing traffic, and you might hear people talking as they pass by my window, since I'm on the front of the building on the sidewalk. So, with that being said, let's get into my reading stats. Change artists as promised. So, let's get into it. I read 11 books in the month of August. This is my second highest reading month of the year, highest being March. Pages read, 3,525. Hours listened, 0. Oh, no audiobooks. Average rating, 3.8. Books acquired. I acquired 3 books this month, and actually 2 were arcs. That was not planned. Just to give some background, one, I've mentioned this once before this year, I think, but Tor.com has a monthly or weekly newsletter, and monthly they usually offer a free ebook of a science fiction or fantasy book. And in this month they offered Riot Baby by Tochi Onyebuchi. I think I'm pronouncing that properly, but if not, I apologize. This is a book I've heard a lot about from a couple of booktubers, and I would really like to read more Black and African science fiction and fantasy, and I jumped on getting this ebook quick. The other two, one is Peace Talks by Jim Butcher, one of my anticipated reads this year. Have not read it yet. I got this because in the bullet journal for Reader's Book on a group on Facebook, and we were chatting. I mentioned that Peace Talks was an anticipated reads, and someone offered to send me the arc that they got, and I received it, so yay. Lastly, now this is the first time this has ever happened. On Goodreads, when you favorite an author, they Goodreads will, let you know when new books are coming out and stuff like that. One thing they also do is, if there are giveaways happening of books coming out from that author, Goodreads will let you know. And so I have my favorite authors, and I generally do put in for those books when they show up. And I put in for the giveaway. I signed up for the giveaway for The Awakening by Nora Roberts. I am a fan. There's not a book by her that I don't like, including the J.D. Robb series. They don't always become my favorites, but there's never one that I don't like. So I put in, and then randomly the other day it showed up with no notice from Macmillan Publishing, so thank you for that. So yeah, those are the 3 books I acquired in the month of August. Now, moving on, I took out 4 books from the library, and I read all 4. And 4 of the books I read out of 11 this month were own voices. Now, genres. I read 8 fantasy books, 1 romance book, and 2 sci-fi books. Formats. I read 4 ebooks and 7 physical books. You notice the ebook numbers are going down. My audience, I read 10 adult books and 1 YA. I'm thinking about that. I will talk about that because it's the last book I read this month at the end of the video. Next, identity. I read 2 books with gender fluid main characters and 1 book with a gender queer main character. Race. I read 2 books with Asian main characters, 1 book with a black main character, 1 book with a mixed main character. Sexuality or sexual identity. No, sexuality. Excuse me. I read 2 books with bisexual main characters and 1 book with a queer main character. The authors, I read 1 new to me author and 10 the rest were not new to me. Types, I read 11 series, no standalones, no rereads. This was a very series heavy month. Now on to the last stat, which is ratings. I read 1 5-star book, 3 4.5-star books, 2 4-star books, 3 3.5-star books, 1 3-star book, and 1 2-star book. You guys already know about that one. I'll be talking about that one. So, those are my stats. Let's get into the books I read in the latter half of this month, August. So, first up, my most anticipated read for the year 2020, Sucker Punch by Laurel K. Hamilton. So, We follow Anita Blake. That's who the series is named after, and that's who's the main character in every book. And Anita is. Let me introduce this a little bit differently to point out some other details for the series and this book in particular. Anita Blake is a U.S. Marshal. She is a U.S. Marshal because she was grandfathered in. Why was she grandfathered in? Well, Anita has this ability. She is a necromancer. She has the innate, born ability to raise the dead. And it's an ability she has to use because otherwise, if she doesn't, it kind of does it on its own. So there's that. But because of this ability and the way where she grew up, she learned to hunt and things like that. And also her interests were in nature and animals and trolls in particular. And Anita learned early, due to various circumstances, how to kill things like vampires and werewolves and etc. Anita has that experience growing up, and so when the government really gets involved and takes it a step further, realizes, with some help from Anita, that they need, an official channels for therianthropes and vampires, etc. When they break the law, there needs to be rules and administration and ways of punishing lawbreakers. Anita and several others who have been doing this kind of bounty hunter style on their own get grandfathered in. But they are not like, the trained U.S. Marshals who are trained at some U.S. Marshal Academy or whatever, how it works. They are different. They're more loners because this is not the usual type of police work. They don't go in, trying to find clues and stuff most of the time. It's go in, kill the thing because it's killing people, and leave. They get warrants for execution, they execute, they leave. That's it. Anita has some more experience because of other situations in her life, but I say all of that because in this particular one, Anita has been called in by one of her fellow U.S. Marshals, Marshal Newman, who we met in a previous book. I don't remember which one, but he's newer, and he became a marshal 2 years ago, unlike Anita, who's been doing it, I think, for a decade now. And she's only like 28 or something. But yeah, Newman calls her into northern Michigan, where he lives and where he's a U.S. Marshal local, because a local were-leopard has been accused of a gruesome murder, and Newman doesn't think he did it. However, the warrants for execution they receive only last for a couple of days. So Newman has experience as a police officer before being a U.S. Marshal, and he wants to find clues. He's also looking for Anita with more experience to help him figure out what it is that's he's seeing and help him potentially save this local were-leopard who is caught and in jail. They're not running, they're not attacking people or the police officers. They're just sitting in jail waiting to be executed. This has no sex, which is the first for a while in this series. It's fine though. This is more case focused. That's why I gave that particular intro. We're living in a world though, a modern world where vampires, were-animals, trolls, fairies, all of these things, the world, human beings are aware of their existence. They are real. They are integrated into societies, and each country and government does differently with them, but Everybody knows they're real. They do exist. People can become were animals and vampires and stuff like that. And it's very interesting. So this one, like I said, is more case focused, and there's a lot of talk about, like, you know, moral and how people, regular people, everyday people think about things. There's a lot of talk about how the government works and policing regular people versus policing non-human beings and that kind of thing. It's all really interesting. And we get some of our favorite characters coming in this one. Not so much Anita's main lovers, with one exception, but some of her friends and not friends. And it's very interesting. It is different from most of the other cases Anita has dealt with, if not all of them. So, what did I get this? I got this out from the library. At some point, I'll get my own. It is, I read this for series Crackdown and for Tome Topple, if I haven't mentioned that. And this is an adult urban fantasy / paranormal. So, do check it out. Next. The next thing I read was The Truth About Love. This is book number 12 in the Sinster series by Stephanie Lawrence. I got the ebook out from the library. This is a historical romance. This is a series that is one of my favorite romance series, and unfortunately, this is the book I've liked the absolute least out of the entire series. So I read this for series Crackdown as well, and I gave it 2 stars. So yeah, The Truth About Love, we have Gerard, who is the younger brother of Patience. Vane and Patience's book was book 2 in the series. So Gerard is a painter, and he's well known around the English ton, and which is like the upper class society in England at the time. So he's well known particularly for his landscape painting. However, it's gotten around that he does do portraits, but very rarely, and he's only done them for family. No. He finds out about this famous gardens out in Cornwall. They're the gardens for some house, Hellbore House or something like that. And he really wants to paint these gardens, so he contacts the owner, and the guy is like, no. And he tries again, and the guy's like, okay, well, I will let you paint my famous gardens that no one has seen in decades because they're behind the house and I never let anyone visit, but only if you paint my daughter's portrait. Gerard's like, what the hell? He goes and he meets the daughter. So her name is Jacqueline. Jacqueline is a regular girl, honestly. Her dad's the lord of the house. The gardens are there or whatever. And this is where she grows up. But Jacqueline is tied up in this ridiculous situation. And this, for me, is where things became absolutely unbelievable. Basically, her whole town believes that she killed her own mother with no evidence, but because they all love her and her father, they don't talk about it. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely mind-blowing ridiculous. Gerard gets there, he sees her, and he's instantly like, I want some of that. I will say this though, like I said, Barnaby is really a standout character. The rest of the characters are all good. They're well written in people. No one extraordinarily interesting, but okay, good people. We get a whole trip to London and the usual Sinster family hijinks happen, which I always enjoy, and the descriptions for the gardens are absolutely... The plot was bad, and I gave this 2 stars. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I barely got what I needed, which was, you know, romance feels from this. Like, even... So, I'm not gonna talk about it no more. The next book that I read, finally, because it took me a long time to get through this book. It took me 2 months to get through this book. Another ebook that I got from the library, that was Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. This is book 3 in the Farseer trilogy, the first trilogy in the Realm of the Elderling series. There are several trilogies in that series, and I finally finished the last book and the first one. We're following Fitz, who is an orphan and a bastard. His father, Fitzchivalry, is the heir to the Buck throne, the seat of the 6 counties. I forget what they're called. But yeah, but his father had him out of wedlock with some woman we don't know, and the series starts when Fitz is 6 and his maternal grandfather is dropping him off at a local place where his father is supposed to be, saying, I'm not taking care of this kid anymore, his father can do it. And as that happens, Fitzchivalry finds out that he has this illegitimate child, so he abdicates the throne and goes off with his wife somewhere else, only to die shortly thereafter. So Fitz winds up being raised for the most part by the stable master Bert, and his grandfather, the king, is aware, 6 duchies, the king of the 6 duchies. He's aware of Fitz's existence. He doesn't ignore him, but he doesn't pay him too much attention until one day he decides, since Fitz is a bastard, he is close enough to the throne to be of use without having to be of use, so he wants him trained in to be an assassin, and to be his assassin in particular. And we watch Fitz grow up from here. So we're in the third book of the series. All right, so let's be real. The first 300 pages of this, dead boring. That's what took me 2 months to read for the most part, because the last 400 pages or so I read in a couple of days. It was depressing. It was very depressing, and it was like, what are you gonna do, Fitz? What are you gonna do? What do you want to do? What can Fitz possibly do? Even like from an omniscient view, like what? Everything looked down and not great, and Fitz wasn't even really going anywhere, doing anything for the first time, and he was very injured and depressed and literally out of his mind. So dealing with that, and then his revenge plot that started around page 300, and I was just exasperated with that whole thing. I was like, this is stupid. This is not going to get you anywhere. I mean, not really, except dead, which is probably where he wanted to be anyway. And then once that got pushed aside a bit, things started picking up. We get to see some characters we haven't seen in a while, and that was great. The Fool is back, and we all love the Fool. We love Night Eyes, the wolf that Fitz is connected to via the Wit. That is his brother. They are pack brothers, and it is interesting. The magic systems in here are the Wit and the Skill, and we learn more about both. We learn about the Elderlings, and what happened to Verity and Ketrixon and other people. I did not like Starling at all. Like, from beginning to end, there was nothing about her I liked. I appreciate what she went through as a woman who has gone through similar and knows others who have gone through the same, but hurt people, and that doesn't, for me, make what she did was basically glom onto Fitz any better. So, I'm saying all this like y'all know who I'm talking about, but no. Yeah, I gave this 4 stars. I read this adult fantasy for series Crackdown, and it was my second book for Tome Topple. Though I started it in July, I read the majority of it in August. This was 757 pages, I think. Definitely a tome. So the 600 plus pages I read in July counts as a tome for me. So I read 2 books for Tome Topple once again. The next book I'll talk about right now is Attack on Titan Volume 29. This guy right here. So this is the next installment. I talked about Volume 28 in my last recent reads video. This is an adult fantasy manga series, very adult. I haven't really talked about them in this video, but I will put trigger warnings for everything I talked about in the description down below. This one in particular has a lot. So it's very violent and gory, if nothing else, in this series. Violence, like, I'm talking about like blood splatter, body parts, just people eating people, kind of cannibalism. Yeah, so this series, Attack on Titan, is about a people who live in this place called Paradise, and it is the only safe place that they know of because it is cities behind 300-foot walls which are ringed around them. And these walls were created, they exist to protect the people from the Titans. Titans are these humongous, humanoid-looking beings that eat people, literally. And they come in various types and sizes. And one day, while the people in Paradise are going about their business, the Colossal Titan shows up. And it's called the Colossal Titan because it's taller than the 100-foot walls that they have created that protect their society. And it kicks a hole in, letting in all the other Titans in the outer wall of Paradise. And those Titans come in and wreak havoc on their society, eating people, destroying lives, breaking up families. And we follow the main character, Eren, and his 2 best friends as they decide, after they become orphans, to join the Survey Corps, which is the portion of the military of Paradise that deals with killing Titans and figuring out where they come from and why they eat people and how to stop them. So the Survey Corps goes outside of the walls to do their work, basically. And it's a really fascinating look about societies and families. There's a found family in this with Eren, his friends, and the other Survey Corps members. Just survival. There's a lot of science in here, and like some slight religious stuff. We're at the point where there's like politics and things, world politics and stuff like that. So it's super interesting. This was a really action packed volume. Like I said before, there are 4 chapters in each, so I have now finished chapter 118 up to 118. There's only one more English translated version, only 3 more volumes out as it is. I think it's ending this year. Season 4 of the anime will be coming out in a month or so. So I was trying to catch up. I've only got one more translated one to read, volume 30 after this, for now. And okay, here I am again in this outfit. But the last book I read in the month of August, sadly, because I had so many more plans and at least one other book I wanted to finish. But the last book I finished in the month of August was Binti, The Night Masquerade. This is the 3rd book in the Binti novella trilogy. I read the ebook from my library and I gave this book 4 stars. Binti is by Nnedi Okorafor, and I have been enjoying this series so far. I have to say though that this installment was the one I liked the least, mostly because of the way, the pacing, I guess. The first book in Binti was very much a story in and of itself, right? And that's what I'll give you synopsis of here without spoilers. Binti, we follow the character named Binti, who is from Earth. She is of the Himba people, who are seen as less than the Kush, who are the people who live in cities, while the Himba live in a less sophisticated manner. However, the Himba are known for their technology, the astrolabs. Anyway, Binti is part of a close-knit family in a close-knit community when she gets accepted into Unza Uni, which is this international university on another planet that takes in, I say international, interstellar, I guess, university that takes in those who are special from various races and planets and solar systems. Binti has been accepted, but none of her people have ever left the planet before, and Binti decides to sneak out and go. And she gets on a ship that's taking her and other students, all of them Kush, from her planet to Umza University, and things start happening from there. She becomes part of this, or in the middle of, I should say, this interstellar war between the Kush and the Meduse, and she goes to the university and meets all kinds of other people, and she gets homesick. In the second book, she winds up coming back home for the first time to see her family, and what bothered me, and it was the only thing that really bothered me about this 3rd book, is the fact that it's definitely a continuation from the 2nd book. While yes, you have to have read the 1st book to really understand the whole series, you could not and still have the backstory. With this 3rd book, it's literally like we stopped at a certain point at the end of the 2nd book, and that was fine. It didn't feel abrupt But when you read the story, the plot that's happening in the second one continues on into the third one very heavily, and then that ends kind of halfway through, and then a sort of new plot starts happening, and that's wrapped up. But it's just like, why did we... It felt awkward, but otherwise this was great. I loved Binti. Oku, I think that's how it's pronounced, is great as always. Wendy, I don't know how to pronounce these names, I apologize, but I liked his character as well. It was very interesting, the difference between using the astrolabe and then the learning about the barbaric desert people and what their life is actually like. And I've never read anything like it, and it brings a smile to my face because I do like seeing people like me in a book like this. So, like I said, I gave it 4 stars only because of that, and I don't even know if I explained it very well, but yeah. So, I finished the Binti series. I definitely want to read more by Dinity Okorafor and more Afrofuturism and African futurism. So, yeah. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I've talked about in this video, no matter which outfit I'm wearing. How was your August? Did you do well? Just to recap, I read 2 books for Tome Topple, and Binti counted for series Crackdown as well. So I read 2 books for Tome Topple and 6 books for series Crackdown, no particular prompts in series Crackdown, and then I got a couple other books that didn't count for either, though I would really have loved it if they did count for series Crackdown. But yeah, did you participate in either Tome Topple or series Crackdown? How did you do? Let me know down in the comments below. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. Obviously, I do 2 wrap-ups a month, and occasionally some other video, booktube videos such as tags or my favorites, which another one will be coming soon. I hope you guys are having a good time. Please stay safe, think of your mental health, wash your hands, stay 6 feet apart, and I will see you guys in the next video.